Week 3 is in the books for the NBA season, and I gotta be honest, there's a lot of negative press going on in the NBA, but as far as basketball is concerned, there's been a lot of thrilling games and a lot of weird happening. No other way to explain it. So we're just gonna jump into the power rankings where we have the Western Conference starting from the bottom. The worst team probably in the entire league at this point is the Houston Rockets. No changes for them. They are 1-9. They refuse to win. Steven Silas should probably be on the hot seat. There's been no progression, no development from their young rookies. A lot of games they aren't competitive, and in the games they are competitive, they end up coming up short because of really just bad offense in general. So no change for the Rockets. And falling down one spot is the Los Angeles Lakers, 2-7 on the season. And realistically, you know, you have LeBron James, you have Anthony Davis, you have Russell Westbrook. You shouldn't be the second to worst team in the Western Conference. And it's just a really awful roster outside of everybody that they have on their team. You have Patrick Beverley, who's playing really bad this season. Lonnie Walker, who is their third option on their team, and he can't shoot. Not ideal. Kendrick Nunn seems to have forgotten how to play basketball. Damian Jones is a bad basketball player. Wenyan Gabriel was out of the league and somehow is their effort and energy guy. Juan Toscano-Anderson has been a major disappointment. Dennis Schroeder hasn't seen the court yet. Matt Ryan occasionally will hit game-tying fadeaway three-point shots, but other than that, he's just not good enough. Thomas Bryant, I don't know what happened. Is he hurt again? Troy Brown Jr. is their fourth option, which is not ideal for their team. Austin Reeves is playing way more minutes than he should. Max Christie, Cole Swider, Scottie Pippen Jr., all rookies. The roster construction is horrible, but thank God Rob Pelinka got a contract extension, all thanks to Jeannie Buss's incredible ownership. Moving up to 13 is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are going to jump up a spot. I still don't believe in this team. I believe in Shea alone. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been balling out. He got, Conference Player of the Week, which is a little bit surprising, but he's been a really good, really clutch for this team. As far as the rest of the team is concerned and winning basketball games, they're almost there. 4-5 is kind of something similar to what I expected this team to be with Chet Holmgren, which is about a 500 team, continuing to develop their guys, filling out their roster. But at this point, it just kind of feels like they're a few steps away, a few years away before they're actually going to be a really good basketball team. They're still going to jump up a spot over the LA Lakers, who are just an abysmal train wreck right now. But the San Antonio Spurs are going to be coming in at 12. Again, they just compete every single night. They may not win, and they may have zero roster talent whatsoever, but I'll be damned if the San Antonio Spurs don't try every single game. Greg Popovich has been coaching up these guys, these young fellas who don't flash other people, and they say, you know what, we're going to give everything that we have. We're going to try on both sides of the court, run a transition. Spurs are playing good basketball, but they're just not very talented, coming in at 12th. And lastly, to end out this tier is the Sacramento Kings. The wins are finally coming after they started, 0-4, 0-5. They've been pretty good every single game. They've been close every single game or winning every single game. That being said, they're still just struggling to find their footing at this point in the season. De'Aaron Fox has been good. Domantas Sabonis has been atrocious. Keegan Murray's been good. Kings are still just a big old question mark, probably going to be fighting for that play-in tournament seeding, and that is the bottom tier of the Western Conference tier gap. Moving up into this kind of, I don't know how to define it. Are they good? Aren't they good? Big old question mark tier, which is the majority of the Western Conference. We're going to start at the bottom with the Timberwolves, who are going to fall down one spot, moving down into the 10 seed, where they haven't figured it out. Rudy Gobert is not the answer, which is why everybody scratched their heads when they made that trade, giving up their whole future for Rudy Gobert. But hey, you know, you still have Karl Anthony Towns. You have Anthony Edwards. D'Angelo Russell can be good occasionally. I like Chris Finch. I think he's a good coach. I think they're going to figure some of this out, which if it means benching Rudy Gobert for important minutes, so be it. Rudy right now is out with COVID protocol sickness, whatever, which means that he can't even play if he wanted to. And that might actually be a good thing in the long run for the Timberwolves as they continue to find their footing, currently sitting 500. Now at the 9th spot is the Clippers, and they should probably be lower than this given their performances that they've had. They've had a really easy schedule and they lose a lot of games to teams that they really shouldn't. They're going to fall 4 spots here, and I thought they were going to be good. I thought Kawhi Leonard was going to be healthy, but you know what? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And what is this, year 4 now that Kawhi Leonard has been out? How many times has Kawhi missed an entire season of basketball? It's frustrating. And I said this before, I'll say it again. The Clippers without Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are an 11 seed. The Clippers without Kawhi Leonard but with Paul George are a 9 seed, and the Clippers with a healthy Kawhi are the 2 seed. Right now, it doesn't look like Kawhi's going to be healthy anymore in his career. he probably should just go out and buy Twitter or something. Moving up to the 8th seed is the Utah Jazz. They're going to jump up 2 spots, and they're going to jump into this tier of are they good, aren't they good? And their record speaks for itself, man. 8-3. I've got Will Hardy as my coach of the year. This team has just been flying. They play great basketball. Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk and Malik Beasley are clutch. Lauri Markkanen has been unleashed on the league. I mean, the Jazz are just a really fun team. It's unfortunate because they won't be able to take for Victor Wembanyama on this pace, whereas the Rockets comparatively have 1 win. They have 8 times the number of wins that the Rockets do already this early in the season. But hey, they might be a playoff team. Holy crap, Utah. As for the 7th seed, it's going to be the Pelicans, who are jumping up a spot as well. Zion is back. BI is back. We'll see how good this team is. The rest of the team and the coaching is good. The question with the Pelicans is, and always will be, how healthy are your 2 superstars going to be? But right now, they're all playing together. They're starting to feel it out, learn each other's tendencies, and we'll see how high the Pelicans can fly, pun intended. Blazers going to be holding steady at the 6th spot. Lost Damian Lillard. Anthony Simons set out, hit that game winner questionably with Jeremy Grant. So they're just going to hold here at that 6th seed. I don't know if they're going to be better. I don't know if they're going to be worse. The Blazers are just a question mark team at this point in the season. Nuggets are jumping up 2 spots to the 5 seed, and their wins aren't remarkable, but they are winning. So you have to give them that. Nikola Jokic just hasn't been very good this season. He's been figuring out how to play alongside his 2 other co-stars in Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. looks like he's regressed into a really quality role player instead of that superstar potential that we thought he had coming out of the draft. Jamal Murray looks good at times, and he just needs to continue to feel out the game. It's been almost 2 years since he's played basketball. Bones Highland is playing out of his mind right now, and he's really carrying this team in games that they shouldn't be winning. So all in all, they got a talented team. They just don't have the chemistry yet. They haven't figured out how to make all the pieces fit. But I like the Nuggets for now. If they figure it out, they're going to jump into this competitive, we're looking for a championship tier. If not, they're going to be stuck in this are we good, aren't we good tier that they're currently sitting in at the moment. Going up 1 more seed is the Dallas Mavericks, and they're going to hold steady right at the 4th spot. I like this team. I don't love this team. They're still figuring out, are they going to play Luka ball? Aren't they going to play Luka ball? It's really that. How much do you want to feed Christian Wood? How much do you want him to be part of your offense, or do you only care about Luka Doncic as the past versions of the Mavericks have? Going up a tier into this championship caliber, championship quality tier, if you will. I've got the Warriors falling down a spot, and look, they were the number 1 seed when this whole season started. It's going to take a lot of convincing for me to knock them down further and further and further. But if they continue to lose, 4 or 5 games in a row, then they will be coming down. But for now, they're at the bottom of this championship caliber tier. 3-7, not a great record. Just a really tough streak of road games. I think they played like 5 games in 7 days and were just traveling all over the place, and their guys were tired and their players aren't performing well. And James Wiseman looks like a bust. Just a really tough start to the season for the Golden State Warriors. But again, they're the defending NBA champions, didn't make any roster changes that are notable that made them significantly worse. So I think the Warriors are at least deserving of a second chance. We cannot count these guys out, but they will be coming down 1 spot. And who's moving up a spot? It's the Grizzlies, and they're just playing well with Ja Morant, without Ja Morant. Dylan Brooks came back, and he's looked really awful, but the rest of the team, they're playing okay. Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane has been absolutely balling out, still waiting for their turn to Zaire Williams, still waiting for their turn to Jaren Jackson Jr., and they are just rolling. Really impressive season for the Grizzlies. And the Suns claiming that number 1 spot in the power rankings. Their 2 losses are, God, I forget, but it was that ridiculous game winner to the Blazers, which probably shouldn't have been a game winner. And then they steamrolled the Blazers the very next game when they played a back-to-back against them. And then I don't remember the other one, but they're just balling out this season. They're doing what the Suns do, and it's not remarkable. It's not impressive. Nobody's going off for like a highlight reel, 8,000 likes kind of dunk going on, but they're just slow and methodical. And Monty Williams has these guys coached up, and they're playing good fundamental basketball. And the Suns are what the Suns are for the last 3 seasons now. The Suns have been the dominant team in the Western Conference. Does it translate in the playoffs? Not all the time, but for now, they're the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Moving on to the East, and starting at the bottom, I've got the Hornets. They started off, I think, 3-2 or something, and they've just been losing and losing and losing, and not just losing, but losing embarrassingly. And that makes a lot of sense when you don't have LaMelo Ball, your superstar point guard, when you don't have Gordon Hayward because he's always injured, when Terry Rozier has been back for 1 game after tweaking his ankle, when Miles Bridges punches women, and that's just what's going to happen when you don't have your 4 best players. So I gave credit to Steve Clifford at the beginning of the season. These guys are playing hard. They've just continued to lose. I think this is the worst roster talent-wise in the Eastern Conference, which is why I have them at the bottom. Next up is the Orlando Magic, and they've got they've got an interesting team. They cannot win games to save their lives, but they're competitive in every single one, a little similar to how the Sacramento Kings have been. So I've got them at the 14th seed right now. No longer the worst team in the NBA after picking up that win against the Golden State Warriors and just being competitive, just being tough. Paolo Banchero's been balling out. They just need a point guard, man. If Markelle Fultz could ever come back from injury instead of being Kawhi Leonard of the Eastern Conference, it would be great for this team because a point guard would fix so many of their offensive problems. 13th on the list is the Pistons. 12th is the Pacers. These guys just keep flip-flopping. Right now, the Pacers have a better record than the Pistons, but they're essentially in that same, they're like the same overall, you know what I mean? One team will win a game here, one team will lose a game here. Right now, the Pistons are 2-8 and the Pacers are 4-5. It very well could be the exact same records except flipped. The teams are just very comparable at this point. And I got a tier gap. And this is just the we're refusing to tank even though we're not very good tier gap. And the only team that is here, the 11 seed, is the Washington Wizards. I bumped up the Nets, spoiler, into that next tier. I've been impressed with how they're playing basketball without Kyrie Irving, which is weird in itself, but the Wizards just refuse to tank. They've got Bradley Beal and they've got a whole bunch of role players, Kyle Kuzma, Rui Hachimura. They're just not a good basketball team from top to bottom, but they refuse to say, you know what, all right, let's trade away some of these veteran players. We have enough 30-year-olds on our team. Let's go get younger, get more athletic, do something similar to what the Portland Trailblazers are doing. The Wizards refuse. So they're going to be stuck right here all alone in this tier of not good enough to compete for an actual playoff spot, not bad enough to tank. Washington. So moving up a tier, is this, are they good, aren't they good tier of the Eastern Conference? And I said, starting with the Nets, they're not going to change their seeding at all, still the 10 seed, but they did jump up a tier. I just, you know, you got Kevin Durant. At times you got Kyrie Irving. Somebody named Ben Simmons will play basketball, but the roster, look, it isn't that bad. That's why we've been so frustrated with Steve Nash. They've got Royce O'Neal, who's like a league average 3-and-D player. Nick Claxton will show you flashes at times. Cam Thomas is legit. The dude can get you buckets. He's like a mini Kyrie Irving. Joe Harris, Patty Mills, Seth Curry, they all have their roles. If the team was well coached, this could be probably a top 4, top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, but man, is their coaching a serious problem. So they said, you know what, while we're having all these problems with anti-Semitism, KD asking out for a trade, Kyrie Irving asking out for a trade, and not getting a contract extension, Steve Nash being the worst head coach in the world, let's just go sign a sexual harasser who's been suspended for a season by the club that he's been with and see if he can be the head coach of the future. Oh, Brooklyn. Knicks are going to be falling down a spot here at the 9 seed. Just been really struggling after that hot start. This is about what we expected from the New York Knicks. Normally it takes until the All-Star game for the Knicks to show their true colors, but they're kind of showing it a little bit earlier. Just a whole bunch of really quality above average players. Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, and Tom Thibodeau's coaching them up. So they're going to be good at times. They're going to be bad more times than not. This is about where the Knicks belong. 8 seed is going to be the Chicago Bulls. 5 and 6, they're jumping up a seed. They're jumping the New York Knicks after Zach LaVine came back. The dude is a bucket. He hasn't been great this season. He had one really good quarter against the, I want to say it was the Nets, where he just shot lights out from three-pointer. Other than that, though, the team is struggling a bit right now. Of course, no Lonzo Ball. Zach LaVine getting load managed. DeMar DeRozan hasn't been an MVP that he was last season. He's been good. He just hasn't been great. Alex Caruso's been a little bit off on his shot. Patrick Williams has been interesting to say the least. Their most consistent player right now is what? Ayo Dosunmu and Javonte Green. So the Bulls are in kind of a weird spot right now, going to be sitting at that 8 seed with a 5 and 6 record. Heat holding steady at this 7 seed. I didn't change them last week. I'm not going to change them this week. This is pretty much who they are. 4 and 6. They've been good, not great. Jimmy Butler still can't shoot. Bam Adebayo really can't shoot, and the rest of the team will do what they will. Got away with the travel on a game-winning shot by Tyler Hero, who then tried to take a fading away 3-point game winner the very next night, I think. Just, this is the Heat. Not much more to say about them. The 76ers are going to be falling down 2 spots, and theoretically, I could have kept them in the upper tier where I thought they belonged. Theoretically, I could have dropped them all the way down to where the Nets or the Wizards are, but right now, I'm going to hold them at this 6 seed. James Harden gone for a month. That's a really brutal foot injury that they're going to have to deal with. Joel Embiid should be able to pick up the slack when he comes back. If he comes back, he's out with some sort of illness. He's got the flu or food poisoning or stomach problems or whatever the hell goes on with Joel Embiid these days. They've been a really disappointing team at this point. Doc Rivers should be on the hot seat. They should be looking for a really good young head coach to jumpstart this team because their talent is there. When James Harden is healthy, you've got this guy who's playing probably MVP caliber point guard. You got Tyrese Maxey, who is balling the fuck out right now. You got Joel Embiid, a defensive player of the year candidate, an MVP candidate, the best player in the NBA, in my opinion, when healthy, when engaged. You got Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, Matisse Thybulle. I mean, the team is good. They need a backup point guard, obviously, but they should be good enough to be the best team in the Eastern Conference. They're just not because of all these various reasons and let's call it excuses, if you will. Jumping up to the 5 seed, going up 1 spot, is the Atlanta Hawks. DeJounte Murray has been great for them. He's quietly been taking over the team, and they look really good when DeJounte Murray's at the controls. Not to say that Trae Young isn't a good point guard, but there's different styles of point guarding. Trae Young is really good at the screener role. Trae Young is really good at scoring. DeJounte Murray's a little bit more of a facilitator, mid-range assassin kind of guy, almost a more natural, classic, quote-unquote point guard, while Trae Young is the shooting guard. That being said, they're starting to figure things out. Their team is looking good. Their offense is looking good. Their defense is spicy. So I'm really enjoying the Atlanta Hawk games. 1 spot above them is the Toronto Raptors. And like I said, this tier, really any team could be theoretically put anywhere. Right now, I got the Raptors at the top of it just because they played a lot of tough games against a lot of good teams. And they've come out on top more often than not. 6-4 record, just playing really well. Scotty Barnes has been good. Fred VanVleet has been amazing. Gary Trent Jr. is hit and miss as he always is. OG Anunoby has been really impressive to me this season. The whole team, top to bottom, led by head coach Nick Nurse, who I believe in, is just playing good basketball. But separating them from the tier above is this championship tier. We are looking to win championships right now. And starting at the bottom of that is the Celtics. So we're going to fall down a spot just because they could not beat the Cavaliers. Simple as that. The Cavs coming in at the 2 seed. They've just been dominant. Donovan Mitchell has been the answer. Even if Darius Garland goes out, there's no problems because Donovan Mitchell does it all. And then Darius Garland comes back and you got an all-star ascending point guard right there to pick up the slack. If there is any. Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, they're all doing their jobs well. Isaac Okoro has been seen playing a good game or two here. Karis LeVert, of course, is going to be good 1 game out of 10. The Cavs are just a really fun team to watch right now, but they are not as good as the undefeated Bucks, who are just steamrolling every single team. Right now, the Bucks are the best team in the NBA. They're undisputed. They're clicking on all cylinders. They've got perfect chemistry. Every role player knows exactly what they're going to do, while their star Giannis is going to put his head down and get his ass to the free throw line. The Bucks are just a supremely impressive team at this point. This is going to be a really fun season for Milwaukee fans. And that is the power rankings. We're going to be hopping into each game's recap, of course. Starting with Tuesday, we had a 1 extra day of recap last week because of the Halloween vacation. But the first game was the Bulls at the Nets. For the Bulls, Iowa was great. Zach LaVine took over the 4th quarter with his sniping after having a rough 3 quarters, and it is what it is. The Bulls are a better team than the Brooklyn Nets. For the Nets, awful game statistically from Kyrie Irving, who's now no longer on the team, at least suspended. His shot and touch was a bit off, probably because of the Jews. Ben Simmons was out doing what he does best in this game, which is wear designer clothes and sit on the bench. KD had some really ugly turnovers, and the street ball Nets are just in a rough spot. Their superstar, Kevin Durant, has asked for a trade immediately after signing a Supermax contract extension. Their other superstar is out with racism. Their other superstar is out with, I don't know, fractured ego, broken heart. They fired their awful head coach. They're hiring a serial sexual harasser, and they're a broken team with a sub-500 record, missing most of their draft picks for the next decade. The Nets are just in a bad place. But if you have Kevin Durant, theoretically, you're a good team with the potential to win a championship. Theoretically. Next game was the Warriors at the Heat. The start of the Warriors' road struggles. They're just continuing to lose. And look, a lot of their losses aren't even that bad, especially this one against the Heat, losing by 7 at the end of the road trip. Some seriously questionable calls by the refs, bad offense, and they only lose by a couple points. I mean, I'm fine with that. My worry is more on the potential development of the younglings like Jonathan Kuminga and James Wiseman, who are just struggling. And this is the problem when having an embarrassment of riches in the NBA, is that they're going to need to come along. They're going to take time to develop. The NBA is a slow developing league, and you still have to compete, and they're just struggling to fill that formula out. Where do we play Jonathan Kuminga? Where do we play JaMychal Green? As for the Heat, Max Strus was incredible this game. This was just one of those the role players play better at home games. Jimmy was clutch as always. Duncan Robinson actually produced for the team. I mean, good win for the Heat. Magic at the Thunder. Battle of the Tanks with return of some much needed guards for both teams in Josh Kademate and Jalen Suggs. For the Magic, they just went ice cold to close the game. They lost all energy, lost all rhythm, took poor quality, no pass or 1 pass possession shots, all things a competent point guard would fix if they could just find one in the league. Jalen Suggs looked really bad this game. As for the Thunder, good win. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, clutch as always. Timberwolves at the Suns, 2 different classes of basketball teams when I was watching this game. The Suns were a really high-energy team defensively. They were flying around, shoving those long arms in passing lanes, looking to abuse lazy offenses. On the other side of the ball, they're just a methodical, surgical team. They run their offense. They get good, high quality shots at the basket or open threes. They force teams that are defending them to go into scramble mode. Eventually, somebody is open. And as for the Timberwolves, they were lazy, lackadaisical on the defensive end. They struggled to fit their 2 to 3 center lineups on the court. Offensively, they're disastrous. There's so many one-pass ISO possessions, step-back contested threes, turnovers, and oh shit, there's 3 seconds left on the shot clock. We need to put something up possessions, especially in this game. It was just embarrassing. It was painful to watch the two different classes of teams going on here. And the Suns, talent-wise, aren't that much better than the Timberwolves, but the way that the two teams go about playing basketball really was prevalent in this game. Moving on to the Wednesday night games, 76ers and the Wizards. The Wizards walked away with the win. Good game all around from their whole team. This is how the Wizards have to win basketball games. Everybody needs to play good. That means Kristaps Porzingis. That means Kyle Kuzma. That means Monte Morris, Will Barton even, Rui Hachimura. They just need to play good basketball all around to walk away with these types of wins. For the 76ers, it's tough that James Harden is out for a month. He had a really good season up to this point, and he was the team's 1 or 1A to Tyrese Maxey because Joel Embiid is disappearing fast. And when I'm watching the 76ers, this team is very comparable to the Mavericks. They have their star players, Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Joel Embiid, and then a whole bunch of role players who cry when they have to dribble the ball for more than 0.7 dribbles a possession. If their superstars aren't healthy and they don't have an 80% usage rate, they're going to struggle. And I know, fire Doc, but this team's issues go beyond Doc Rivers. It's their whole offensive philosophy. James Harden's going to dribble the air out of the ball. Tyrese Maxey is going to take ridiculous shots, and Joel Embiid is going to bitch, moan, and complain the entire night. It's right now the 76ers basketball is not very good. Celtics at the Cavaliers. I couldn't even say anything about this. I watched the game. I didn't analyze it. I just sat back, enjoyed the show. Donovan Mitchell was elite. Jason Tatum was a monster. The role players played well. This was just a fun game all around. Cavaliers walk away with the 1-point victory. Kings at the Heat. First of all, I still can't believe Dellavedova is back in the NBA. It was wild, this. De'Aaron Fox has been really good this season for them, and it was just good to see him being in competitive basketball games. It's been a while. And look, the NBA regular season, it's not that you lose, it's how you lose. The Kings have been competitive in nearly every single game so far, so ignore their sub 500 record. The only thing I'd have to worry about for all the Kings fans out there, all two of you, is that Sabonis looks washed. I don't know what it is. He's 26 playing like he's 46, and it's not just this year. You look at his stats ever since the All-Star run he had when he was, 22 years old in Indiana, he's been steadily declining, and this year has been his worst. Career low in free throw percentages, career low in points per game since he got good, and he's shooting 12% from the three-point line. For the Heat, good game for Tyler Hero. Even though he traveled on the game winner, he's prone to these games where he plays good. I know. Hawks at the Knicks. Disastrous game for the New York Knicks. They went up 23 points early, took their foot off the gas, and just couldn't do anything. Trae Young went out with an eye injury, and then Mitchell Robinson had one of his classic I foul too much in the third with his 4th or 5th foul, and then the Knicks just forgot how to play basketball. I don't know how else to explain it. They scored 10 points in the third quarter and had 10 turnovers. Thankfully, Tom Thibodeau didn't make any substitutions. He didn't call any timeouts while his team was imploding. He just said, oh, this is what's going to happen now? Great, good. I like this. Their transition defense was awful, which is doubly bad when you're turning over the ball so much. And to any other team, going down 10 points is nothing. But to the Knicks, their slow and painful offense, it is a death sentence. They could not climb back into this game. For the Hawks, man, they just always get up to play Madison Square Garden. They were flying around. Their defense was playing great. DeJounte Murray was incredible. 36 points, 9 assists, 5 steals. This is why they traded for him. Hornets at the Bulls. This is what I was expecting from the Hornets to lose 88-106. Bad team, lacking in talent, and poor coaching. At some point, Steve Clifford needs to say Mason Plumlee sucks. We need to start Nick Richards and run the offense through our best players, which is right now PJ Washington and Dennis Smith Jr. As for the Bulls, not much to say. Good win. Patrick Williams has been looking decent, which is better than his, oh my God, trade him, cut him, get him off the team immediately level of basketball that he's been playing at for almost his whole career. Clippers at the Rockets. For the Clippers, John Wall is so much fun to watch. He's not that same guy that he was in Washington, but just watching him play with joy and effort. It's been so long since John Wall basketball has been around. If he keeps this up, he's going to be replacing Reggie Jackson to be the starting point guard. He's going to be replacing Markieff Morris to be the number 3 on the team. John Wall has been very good this season for the Clippers. For the Rockets, the young guys still need help. I'm still calling for Steven Silas's job. I'm hiring somebody from, I don't know, the Phoenix Suns coaching squad, and I'm calling plays built for Devin Booker to be run by Jalen Green. He needs to get a mid-range game now. He can drive as hard as he wants. He can shoot as many threes as he wants, but he needs to get some Iverson cuts, get some open elbow jumpers, and start killing it because he has not been developing at all the past 2 seasons. Good game for Alperen Şengün. He's been balling out at the beginning of this year. Pistons at the Bucks. A Nerlens Noel sighting for the Pistons. That's fun. As for the bench, once again, Dwayne Casey forgot that he can put in starters to keep the offense rolling with the bench unit, although it probably wouldn't have helped. The whole team was bad this game. Bucks continue to roll, win by 25 in this one. Raptors at the Spurs. This was basketball that got played in San Antonio. The final score was 143-100. That's all I'm going to say about that. Jazz at the Mavericks. All those clutch shots that were going in for Kelly Olynyk and that were going in for Jordan Clarkson earlier in this season did not fall this game. Decent win for the Mavericks. The team is starting to look like it does every year, though. Luka Doncic leads the league in usage right now, and he dribbles so much, and the other guys don't really get a feel for the game. And Luka is so good, right? He's probably 1 to 1A for the best player in the NBA right now with Giannis. But man, you're playing a team brand of basketball. We've proven time and time again, and especially in today's NBA where you need multiple superstars on your team, that one guy just can't do it. You need to bring your other guys along for the ride. Spencer Dinwiddie is spending too many possessions saying, when am I going to get to dribble the ball? Christian Wood is spending too many possessions in the post saying, I can beat this guy one-on-one, give me the ball. And instead it's Luka doing what Luka does. He's going to do some fancy dribble moves, drive into the paint somehow, even though he's slow as molasses. And then he's going to, over his head, behind his back, kick the ball open to a wide open three-pointer for Reggie Bullock or Dorian Finney-Smith, and they're going to miss. It's fine basketball. Fundamentally, you're making the right plays, etc. But get your other stars involved in the game so that we can play a team brand of basketball, Dallas. Grizzlies at the Trailblazers. Bad closing game from Ja, but a good overall team win against the Blazers. For the Blazers, Anthony Simons is legit. The referees were not helping at all, and the Blazers came up just a little bit short, starting to lose games now after that hot start that they had. Pelicans at the Lakers. Man, this game was crazy. Dyson Daniels choked both free throws to put this game out of reach. Matt Ryan, former Falcons quarterback and Laker legend, splashes with 1 second left. Zion was completely awful in overtime. Russell Westbrook got benched for the entire overtime and fourth quarter. And the Lakers got a win for the first time in what felt like forever. And don't let this game make you forget that Brandon Ingram, the Pelicans' best player, was out. And LeBron missed like 5 potential game-winning or game-clinching shots. But hey, the Lakers won a game. Moving on to the Thursday games, there was only 2 games in this window. Warriors at the Magic. For the Warriors, just a tough game to watch. There's no ball movement on this team right now. They're playing horrendous offensive basketball, which is their bread and butter. And they're playing lazy defense, which leads to losing to teams like the Magic. Clay has been awful. This feels like a why they drafted James Wiseman game where you need that youth athletic potential, and James Wiseman has been really bad for them. They shouldn't be why they signed JaMychal Green and Ty Jerome game. Jordan Poole needs to stop being hot shit on defense and stop double dribbling and traveling on offense. The Warriors are struggling right now. For the Magic, this was just a big game for them. Jalen Suggs was huge, hit a couple threes, had a steal. Good win. I don't know. They got up, they played ball, they played hard, and they beat the defending champions. It is what it is. Nuggets at the Thunder. This was a weird game to watch. The Nuggets jumped out to a huge lead, and then they lost it. And then they jumped out to a huge lead again, and then they lost it again. For the Thunder, they came up just a little bit short, but it's good to see Alexei Pokusevski play with confidence. This was more a game about the Nuggets, though, and I know the stats didn't reflect it, but this was a masterful game from the Joker. When the Nuggets needed him to, he slowed the game down, kind of like how LeBron James did on the Cavs versus the Warriors for all those matchups where the Thunder were flying around and making these energy plays, and the Nuggets were trying to respond, and Jamal Murray was trying to push the pace even faster, and then the Nuggets would say, all right, Joker, bring the ball up the court as a 7'1" big man. Slowly, methodically get into your offensive set, get you or a teammate a clean, open look, and it just took all the air out of the Thunder's sails. Jamal Murray's continuing to work his way back into pre-injury form. He looks good in stretches, but Nikola Jokic is built different. And the two-man game of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic is going to be tough to beat in the postseason. My big issue with the team right now, and I said this a little bit in the Power Rankings, is how disconnected Michael Porter Jr. looks. We thought he was going to be a number 1 on the team, Kevin Durant Jr., and right now, he's just a mediocre catch-and-shoot role player for the team. Not really what you're going to win a championship with. Moving on to the Friday games, it was the Cavs at the Pistons. One of those good versus bad team blowout games. No Darius Garland, no Donovan Mitchell, no problem, as the Jared Allen, Evan Mobley Twin Towers were affecting every single shot that the Pistons tried to take. The role players were hitting their threes, just an easy win for the Cavaliers. Pacers and the Heat. The Pacers walk away with a victory in this, and they play the good teams really well. They're one of those teams that get up to play the good teams and forget to play hard when you're playing the bad teams. Andrew Nembhard, by the way, has been quietly one of the better rookies this season, and the Pacers have a great scouting team. They just always find these young guys who can contribute in the second round or are undrafted. They got Tyrell Terry, O'Shea Brissett, Dwayne Washington, Andrew Nembhard. All these guys are valuable, unremarkable players that are contributing to their team. For the Heat, God, it's so annoying that Bam Adebayo cannot shoot. I cannot tell you how many wide open 6-foot jump shots that he misses, but it's just embarrassing. Now, if Jimmy Butler plays in this game, they win. But I gotta say, as a Miami Heat, I guess fan, Eric Spoelstra fan, can we please drop some offensive plays at the end of the game? There's so many Tyler Hero step back ISO contested threes for the quote unquote win that he takes. And sure, he'll make one out of every, I don't know, 5, 10. And you go, oh my God, look at Tyler Hero. He's such a good basketball player. Run some freaking offense at the end of the game. God. Knicks at the 76ers, and I make fun of Tom Thibodeau all the time, how his offenses struggle to do anything. But damn, are Doc Rivers' offensive sets even worse. They set one screen and then ISO for 15 seconds and jack up a bad shot. And Doc Rivers has just been blessed with roster talent for so long. He's never had to overcome this, but God, I'm sick of watching his offense not do anything. B-ball Paul Reed finally got out of Doc Rivers' doghouse, and while I recognize that the entire internet wants him to play 40 minutes a night, he matches that really high effort defense and intensity and rebounding with mistakes. The main thing is that this Sixers team drags ass 70 games a season, and they need guys like Paul Reed to try hard because James Harden and Joel Embiid certainly are not. They're just going to sleep their way through games, not to mention guys like Tobias Harris. This game really felt like the Sixers had so many opportunities to win, and they just missed all their important shots, especially Tyrese Maxey taking really bad shots, overexerting himself due to no James Harden. He had 31 points this game, and you go, oh, okay, he played well. On 29 shots, that's horrible. That's Westbrookian. It's a good win for the New York Knicks, side note, as the 76ers snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, but I'm not giving the New York Knicks a lot of credit. I am going to point out that they had this interesting looking death lineup that really should be used more, or at least investigated more. Jalen Brunson at the 1, Cam Reddish at the 2, RJ Barrett at the 3, Obi Toppin at the 4, Julius Randle at the 5. It's certainly interesting. It worked this game and it deserves further investigation. Nets at the Wizards, absolute domination by the Nets. The ankle breaker of the year by the Slim Reaper. Wizards played like a high school team. Coaching was awful, just an embarrassment of a game. And we will not talk about this game ever again. Bulls at the Celtics. The Bulls are missing Lonzo Ball. I get it. And I know Nikola Vucevic, when he came over, helped bring the Bulls out of suckdom and made them a remarkable, reportable team so that DeMar DeRozan would want to sign here and Lonzo Ball would want to sign here and make them a playoff caliber team. But he's such a liability on the defensive end, and he just does not compensate well enough offensively that I'd look for a trade. I'd look for a Clint Capella type of rim running defensive center up for this team. For Zach LaVine, despite that flurry against the Nets where he made every single three, he's just really struggled to find his rhythm offensively since he came back. Patrick Williams still sucks at times. DeMar DeRozan has always been a beast, but does it contribute to winning basketball? Not always. For the Celtics, Jason Tatum is a bucket. The Celtics just look good. They're not the number one team in the Eastern Conference, but they're at least a dominant power, one of 3. Hornets at the Grizzlies. After that ridiculously good start, the Hornets are playing like the team that we all thought they would without their best player. All things being equal at this point, I'm sitting LaMelo Ball, and I'm just taking for Victor Wembanyama. Good win for the Grizzlies. This game was over at halftime. Clippers at the Spurs, and another tough, close, gritty game for the Clippers. They continue to struggle as Kawhi Leonard is out, stealing money from Steve Ballmer yet again. And look, imagine the Bucks without Giannis. Imagine the Mavs without Luka. All things being equal, the Clippers have been pretty exceptional in spite of their $42.5 million black hole of a roster spot. As for the Spurs, man, Trey Jones, he's been flashing for me. I didn't say he was flashing me, okay? Jakob Poeltl is 3rd in offensive rebounds this season. The dude has been a monster on the glass. There's something here for the San Antonio Spurs. Now, they have a long way to go to actually getting enough talent to be in a competitive basketball team, but the Spurs, they got some young pieces there that I'm definitely interested in. Raptors at the Mavericks. This was a weird one to watch. I wouldn't say this was a badly refereed game to one team or another favoring them at all. It was just more of a really sloppy game with a really strict refereeing crew. And it's just, man, it's hard to watch basketball sometimes already with all the defensive fouls leading to boring free throws that take 50 seconds for everybody to dribble and do their little routine. And then you take into account the emphasis on offensive fouls and travels and carries and kicked balls and cursing and jumping and smiling. It gets tough to watch sometimes. And this was an otherwise good game. So all in all, it's kind of similar to last week's Suns and Warriors game. I just can't really talk much about it because there was just so many blown calls, but otherwise good win. Pelicans at the Warriors. The struggling Warriors played the G League unit as the Pelicans got healthy on them. Jordan Poole needs to stop traveling every possession. I know it's literally his favorite thing to do. But it is a problem, especially with the emphasis that the NBA referees have this season. And look, I'm never going to criticize Steve Kerr or how the Warriors handle their business. They're a dynasty. They've won, 4 championships at this point? But this is why you got to play your young players. They give your team fresh legs, new energy, and yeah, they're going to make mistakes, but it's usually through effort. It's fixable, correctable things. I don't know what infatuation Steve Kerr has with JaMychal Green, or maybe Jonathan Kuminga said something anti-Semitic, but this man needs to get more minutes. He's an energy bunny. He can jump out of the gym. He can defend. He hits the three to some extent, and JaMychal Green is old and not that good. James Wiseman, though, is entering the bust conversation. First injuries, and then his lack of energy, lack of intelligence for a guy who's in probably, his 3rd season at this point. He needs to be playing better than he is, period. I don't care how many games he's missed. He's got to give you something for that number 2 overall pick that you took him with. Great game for the Pelicans. They were almost Phoenix Sunsy here with their slow, methodical approach to terrorizing the Warriors defense. The Warriors go into a zone, they throw the ball into the weak part of the zone and send cutters every single side of the court. They play man-to-man, they'll force a switch, force a double, makes the extra pass, and then pass to the open man. The Pelicans were just really good in this game. Bucks at the Timberwolves. Bucks continue to roll. I'm happy to call Giannis the best player in the NBA right now. I don't love it because he can't shoot, but his dominance is clear and apparent. As for the Timberwolves, I am so sick of seeing Karl Anthony Towns jack up 3-pointers like it's his only skill. In fact, I'm sick of the whole Timberwolves team shooting threes like they're Steph freaking Curry. They need to get into their offensive sets. Drive to the basket for once in your God. Trailblazers at the Suns. Been a while since I saw Yusuf Nurkic play good dominant basketball. That was fun. A couple of huge buckets from Book, and then Nurkic, and then Book again, and then Nurk again. Then a yikes turnover by Mikal Bridges, which apparently got called back, and then a game winner from Grant. So you look at the last 2-minute report, it's pretty ugly. Mikal Bridges didn't actually travel. It just looked awkward, so they got a whistle because of that. Jeremy Grant traveled. The clock started late on the game-winning shot. It was just a really awkward, bad ending to an otherwise good game. Jazz at the Lakers. I don't know what to say about the Lakers that hasn't been said already. They play a brand of defense first, free throws and slashing 1 to 2 point basketball that just doesn't work anymore in today's 3-point NBA, even though they aren't good at defense or free throws as well. LeBron is their leading scorer, 24, 9, and 7 on 43, 21, 73 splits. Hasn't played consistent defense in 10 years. Anthony Davis is their second best player, 23 and 11 on 52, 23, 81 splits. He's half the player that he was in New Orleans due to all the injuries. Lonnie Walker is their third option, shooting 32% from 3. Russ is Russ, 15, 6, 5, 42, 27, 76 splits, and he doesn't play defense. The whole team is a mess. Pat Bev can't shoot. Troy Brown sucks and can't shoot. Austin Reeves is streaky, but he shouldn't be your best scoring option. Juan Toscano Anderson is a poor man's Draymond Green. Can't shoot. Matt Ryan sucks, but made one important 3 this whole season, so you're going to remember his name. Kendrick Nunn plays basketball sometimes. He sucks. Wendy Gabriel sucks. Damian Jones sucks, and then the rest of the team is rookies. This is a horrible roster. This is why they're a bad basketball team. As for the Jazz, I guess they decided they're done with French big men. The tank is for 2024 now. They're going to be competitive this year. Who knew? First game of Saturday is a clash of 2 titans. The team who were cheated out of a missed call game winner versus the team who defeated the defending champions. I don't know how to sell this game better than it's Kings at Magic. And this game was actually pretty good to watch down the stretch. First of all, game winner from De'Aaron Fox from the logo. Now, knowing his 3-point percentage, this was more of a March Madness shot. But hey, it went in. Game winner for the Kings. I don't know why the Magic, though, in the fourth quarter treated this game-winning shot like they were down 2. But Franz Wagner, 21% for 3 this season, shot a 3-point attempt, which missed inevitably. And then Jalen Suggs got the rebound and decided to take a falling down sideways 3-point shot himself. It seems like you can just drive to the basket, get a mid-range shot, try to get a layup, get some free throws, get something easier than 30-foot shots that have low percentages of going in. For the Kings, they first got really bailed out by that late De'Aaron Fox foul call, and then they tied it in regulation, and then he took over in overtime. And say what you will about Domantas Sabonis, but this man hits his free throws in the clutch. Nets at the Hornets. Terry Rozier came back just in time for the free-falling Hornets. They just came up a little bit short here against the Brooklyn Nets. I still don't know why PJ Washington isn't the go-to option on this team right now. He's getting the 3rd most shots behind Terry Rozier and Kelly Oubre, and he only got 3 more shots this game than Mason fucking Plumlee. Nick Richards once again should be starting. Run the offense through PJ. Let Terry Rozier do what Terry Rozier does, and I think this team still has the chance to be moderately competitive. For the Nets, Kevin Durant went, you know who I am. The role players hit their shots. Yuta Watanabe has been surprisingly competent. Cam Thomas is a poor man's Kyrie, and Kevin Durant does what Kevin Durant does, and that's give your team buckets. Pelicans at the Hawks. Man, do NBA games end in a whimper. Fouls, timeouts, out of bounds, free throws. So many disappointing ends to an otherwise great basketball game. Right now, the Pelicans are healthy. They're good. The Pelicans are starting to roll. And when you don't have Brandon Ingram, 21 points per game, Zion Williamson, 23 points per game, Herb Jones, defense player of the year candidate, it's tough to win games. But the Pelicans are a mean, deep basketball team. For the Hawks, DeJounte Murray might be quietly taking over this team. The offense looks smoother when he's out there. Instead of jacking up 35-foot threes, he can get his own shot since he isn't 5'10". He plays defense. I'm just saying, DeJounte Murray might be the point guard of the Atlanta Hawks. Celtics at the Knicks. And the Knicks are such a weird team, man. Julius Randle's probably a good number 3 option on a championship team, but he's asked to be the number 1 for the Knicks. RJ Barrett is the slowest developing star of the world. Jalen Brunson is a 6-foot combo guard who operates the best out of the post. Tom Thibodeau is the head coach, meaning he's going to inexplicably keep good performing players in the doghouse and grind the team into the dirt 40 minutes a night in November. And I thought we saw a revelation in that death lineup of Brunson, Reddish, Barrett, Randle, and Toppin, but overall, the Knicks just couldn't keep up with the Celtics, who set a franchise record for threes in a game. Thunder at the Bucks, didn't even really watch this game. I assume the Bucks won. Giannis was out, and Brook Lopez played like old Brooklyn Brook. It's easy to forget that he was an all-star back in the day. And I don't think I've talked about it yet this season, but I love the Marjon Beauchamp pickup by the drafts. He fits everything that the Bucks do right now. Their mentality, their defense, their toughness. Marjon Beauchamp was already a really good player in my book, and then he went to the perfect situation out there in Milwaukee. Rockets at the Timberwolves. This was a really ugly game to watch. Lots of turnovers, lots of bad defense, lots of slow developing offensive sets. Alperen Sengun played okay, but not being 7 feet was pretty evident today for the Wolves. They look so much better when you only play one center at a time. I can't say the same thing every single time the Timberwolves play, but Rudy Gobert, you know? Spurs at the Nuggets, one of those blowout games, not a lot to talk about here as well. Bones Highland has been killing it lately, and is it too early for me to take my victory lap on the Jeremy Sohan train? I did not understand his draft hype at all, and I get that he's a rookie, and I get that he's super young and super raw, and he's going to be good in maybe 4 to 5 years at best, but right now he's averaging 7, 3, and 2 on 46, 20, 40 splits. Just saying. Blazers at the Suns, another blowout game. This is the rematch of the shouldn't have been game winner, and the Suns left absolutely nothing to chance in this one. Again, no Damian Lillard, no Anthony Simons, and the Suns played like this was a playoff game, while the Blazers played like they're missing their 2 best players. By the way, Keon Johnson has some f***ing hops, and I love watching that kid play basketball. On to the final stretch of Sunday games. Cavs at the Lakers. Are we ready to have this conversation yet? Are we? I mean, LeBron is playing his worst basketball I've ever seen. He doesn't play defense already, and that alone gives up about 10 baskets a game just because he won't rotate down or he's slow or won't close out. His shot, which has always been hit and miss, is miss this season. His field goal percentage is the worst since his rookie season. His 3 is literally the worst he's ever shot on really high volume too. And the team goes as he goes. Most of the game, he moves slower than a snail with a broken leg. Lakers got blown out by a good team. You know, no surprise there. But what's really wild to me is that there was still like 5 minutes left while the Lakers were down like 17, 15 points in the fourth quarter. And that's an eternity in most games. Look no further than the Oklahoma City Thunder down 16 to the Mavs coming back and winning. Go on a quick run and you're in this game. But the Lakers offense cannot score. They cannot shoot. They can't do anything on the offensive end. And man, it was just a little bit embarrassing to see the we're getting blown out squad come in so early into the fourth quarter. Bulls at the Raptors. Strong performance for the Raptors. Walk away with a victory. Obviously, no Zach LaVine hurts this game, but I think the Raptors right now are a top to bottom better squad than the Chicago Bulls are, especially in the head coaching department. Wizards at the Grizzlies. A closer game than you think, but the Wizards could not get good offense, and whenever Ja missed his shot, Desmond Bane was there to pick up the slack. The Grizzlies are just a much better team. And finally, Jazz at the Clippers. No offense to the Jazz, who are once again playing great basketball by head coach Will Hardy, who's my coach of the year #1 candidate so far. But the Clippers, once again, don't have Kawhi Leonard. And they're the team that is busting this year. I thought the Suns were going to fall off whenever a team is presently assembled, continues to fail the same way over and over. At some point, they lose that fire, they lose that chemistry, and they just kind of give up. Look at the Chris Paul Rockets, look at the Mike D'Antoni Suns, look at the KD Thunder. And right now, the Kawhi Clippers, or rather the Kawhi-less Clippers, have been banging their heads year after year trying to compete without their supposed superstar who sits out with a torn who the fuck knows for most of the season every single year. For the actual game, the refs were bailing out the Jazz all night, so that definitely contributed to the loss. And the Clippers, they just couldn't make shots. That's all that happened. They missed like their last 14 threes in the fourth quarter. As I've said before, the Jazz without Kawhi and Paul George are an 11 seed, without Kawhi are a 9 seed, and their roster talent is very comparable right now to the Utah Jazz. Right now, the Clippers without Kawhi are just a hugely disappointing team, and that is why they fell down so many tiers in the power rankings. That is going to do it for the every game recap of this week. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and I'll catch you in the next one.